Investigator 555. Let's move on, brothers. We've got a packed show. For those of you who like to get on our WhatsApp, I've not started my Signal and is it Telegram? Can't remember what it's called now. But I will be putting those groups together very soon, brothers and sisters. But on WhatsApp right now, 07863 543 785. We keep that going. And every week we have to state the first stage of learning, brothers and sisters. You must unlearn what you have learned. Yeah, that is the first stage of wisdom, brothers and sisters, is to appreciate that we don't know everything and that what we've been taught for the last 400 years is not adequate. It's not good enough, brothers and sisters. So we have to unlearn all of what we thought that we knew, okay, brothers and sisters. And to that end, very soon we're going to be doing a series of shows that's aimed at the youth and building up that next generation. And one way of us doing it is that we started our own academy, the Westside Young Leaders Academy, because we also believe this, brothers and sisters, that just as a snake sheds its own skin, you and I must shed your past over and over again. Unlearn everything you have been taught and relearn through everything your own experiences and your soul teaches you. Yeah, your soul, brothers and sisters. So we strongly believe that on this platform, okay, it's about relearning the process. And just as we carry on, I want to give a big shout out to Sister Charmaine, who texts me to say she's tuning in all the way from Barbados. So we salute you, my queen. We salute you. And every week we have our Hidden Truth platform right here every Tuesday, brothers and sisters. This is the platform to be every single Tuesday. And you will see that we are about freedom, justice, and equality. And this platform is about positive propaganda. We ain't afraid to use that term propaganda, but we use positive vibrations to do that. Okay, my brothers and sisters? So next week, you know, as you know, we've got a powerful show lined up this week. But what is happening next week, brothers and sisters? We next week we have got our brother Charles Gordon, is the founder of Taking the Initiative Party, one of the grassroots political parties in the UK, and he's going to be with us next week.
London in the summer of 2020. Emotions exploded here and in British towns and cities as the Black Lives Movement took hold and gained support, rising from street protest into popular culture. Few in the UK political establishment realised then, but a new party would emerge from the cauldron of protest, although Black Lives made no secret of it if anyone cared to listen.
We want our own political party, one that reflects the multicultural nation that we have become.
Arise News was given first access to the new party's leading lights. Our first meeting had more than a touch of red carpet swagger. Self-made property tycoon Charles Gordon is a senior figure and one of the party's main backers. Charles's colleague Sasha Johnson, an Oxford graduate, has already grabbed media attention.
Black power!
She's been dubbed by critics on social media as a cut-price Che Guevara.
They know they're racist. Get ready to fight them. If they don't bring peace, they know what's going to happen. One solution!
Revolution!
One solution!
Revolution!
Meeting her, I had no doubt about her commitment to bringing about social change and the price that may have to be paid.
What I want to say is, to me, if it doesn't come in peace, there's only one way that change has ever happened, isn't it? It's through violence.
And you support that?
I don't support violence against the innocent, but I support violence against oppressors and tyranny.
And would that include the forces of law and order in the UK?
Not just the law and order in the UK, but globally, what oppression is signified out there. But in the UK, what it means is that we're awake now. We're asking for the change first and foremost. We're asking for unity. We're asking for social justice. And if you feel that that's too much to give, that's our basic human rights, then we've got a problem.
The Taking the Initiative Party, or TTIP, is releasing its manifesto this week. Pledges including replacing the upper chamber of the UK Parliament with a People's Assembly, a cap on politicians' pay and expenses, more house building and a reduction in property taxes. They don't rule out a second referendum to rejoin the EU. They're pro-entrepreneurs and strong trade links with other nations. All fairly non-controversial stuff, but the manifesto does have some groundbreaking pledges which will send eyebrows in white Middle England shooting up. TTIP wants to set up a race offenders list, rather like the sex offenders list, as Charles explains.
The objective and the idea behind it was that we feel that there's a lot of systemic racism which isn't being addressed in society, and the objective was to try and create some form of register which allows people who do commit racist offences, and some of them might be minor, some of them might be major, but basically a process where they can be registered and these things can be recorded. Because the issue is that when you have racism on any level, the problem is if it's not accounted for in some way or form, or it's not identified in some way or form, the issue is that those people then go on to become members of society. They become our judges, they become our teachers, they become all of those things, and they go through life with those, what's the word, I mean, for want of a better word, inherent probably problems, let's say, and I'll put it down as a problem or an issue or even an illness to a degree, and those things aren't dealt with, they're not addressed, and because they're not addressed, then you find that then adds to the systemic racism that we're dealing with in the UK.
Reparations for the Victorian slave trade and compensation in the form of tax relief for Britain's black community is another manifesto pledge.
Well, I mean, that is ultimately the amount of people that have been impacted by slavery, and I think that there's no nice way of putting it. And I think, to be fair, I think if people, I mean, and for not wanting to compare it to the Holocaust, but ultimately a lot of people suffered, and it's generations and generations of people that are still dealing with the repercussions of that. And I think that as black people in the UK specifically, there's been nothing done to compensate that, and I think that that's, for want of a better word, just wrong.
Police stop and search for suspects carrying knives is also in TTIP's crosshairs for reform, with a fine against police in the case of wrongful arrest.
So the thought process was, in order to kind of introduce some kind of accountability for stop and search, that there should be some kind of remuneration, i.e. so if a person does get stopped and searched and it is resulting in no further action, then that person should receive some compensation, because as well as the indignity of being stopped and searched on the side of the street, it's also a waste of police time. And the thought process was that even from a police perspective, it would work as some form of deterrent to stop those things.
Is the new party another neo-Marxist political group, or one similar in tone to the UK Black Panther movement that flourished in the 1960s? The answer is no. TTIP is in favour of toughening immigration rules, strengthening the UK's armed forces. It wants more police on the streets and sees the relationship with the US as vital.
So yeah, you got it, brothers and sisters. Well, Brother Charles Gordon, as you see there on the news, he's going to be on this platform next week, brothers and sisters. And it's a chance for us to hear directly from himself. What does his party stand for? Should black people be supporting it? What's his views on all ranges of things, brothers? Next week, we're going to give you an opportunity to speak to him directly, ask your questions. But just to give me an idea, brothers and sisters, just give me an idea. Put the ones in the chat room if you agreed what you've heard from him so far. Put some ones if you agree with what he said. If you agree with what he said, do you think that his party is standing up for the deaf, dumb, and blind? Because I don't know. That's why I want him on my show to speak to you next week directly, brothers and sisters. Okay, looks like it's pure ones in the chat room. I'm seeing you, man. But don't miss next week, brothers and sisters. And please, I'm begging you, tell your friends about it. Tell your family about it, brothers and sisters, because it's our chance. Rather than let the news speak for him, he's going to be here next week himself.
We're not just hoping to attract the predominant.
And coming soon to this platform, coming soon, brothers and sisters, coming soon is Dr. Walcott, the conscious doctor. He's going to be coming here very soon. Those of you who know about Dr. Walcott, you know this man ain't going to be playing. After Dr. Walcott, we're going to have a whole show on spiritual vibrations. Oh my God. Brothers and sisters, I didn't say the word religion. I'm talking the word spiritual. I think as a people, we cannot deny that we are a spiritual people. We are spiritual beings in a physical universe. Now, let me say this to you, brothers and sisters. I am a Muslim. I'm going to say that one more time. Brother Andrew Muhammad is a Muslim, and I'm proud to shout out loud and clear that I'm a Muslim. But let me say this to you as well, brothers and sisters. I'm also Rasta. Yeah, what I said? I'm also Hebrew. Yeah, what I said? I'm also Christian. Yeah, what I said? I'm also Buddhist. Did you hear what I said? I believe in spirituality, brothers and sisters. And so even if on my platform, I'm introducing us to all types of faiths, brothers and sisters, because we're going to come to that agreement and mature understanding we are one people, one God and one people. So do not be afraid to come on this platform and learn about other faiths, even if you're a Christian, even if you're Muslim, even if you're Buddhist, even if you're a Rasta. Be secure in your faith that you can still learn from other people too. And so on the 23rd, brothers and sisters, we are going to be having a real powerful night, brothers and sisters. It's going to be spiritual. And I want you to come on this platform and ask them questions about their faith, about their spirituality, things that we may not understand, okay? It's going to be a powerful night. Spiritual vibrations. We've got a priestess. We've got Brother Macon. Rise of the Rastafari movement, and we've got Stephen Graham of the Hebrew faith. It's going to be serious. It's going to be serious. It's going to be serious, brothers and sisters. So let's move on. And then we're going back to America. Jeez, we're back in America after that, brothers and sisters. And we've got Professor Kabar. Shit. If you was on the show a few months ago, you realize and you remember he gave us a masterclass from Los Angeles. Well, guess what? He's back on this platform in the next few weeks, Professor Kabar. If you don't know about this brother, quickly Google him. You'll see that this man's a monster when it comes to knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Professor Kabar. As Sister Pauline Mackenzie says, love this brother. He's going to be on this platform, brothers and sisters, Professor Kabar. And Popcorn Movie Nights Friday. What have we got coming next? We've got Hidden Truth, Kung Fu Panda this Friday. Oh! Get your popcorns ready, brothers and sisters, because Kansas is going bye-bye.
When you focus on Kung Fu, you suck. The way to get through to you is with this. Have a dumpling. DreamWorks Kung Fu Panda. You have done. Paul, you must take the next step on your journey. Incredible power awaits you. If you only do what you can do, you will never be more than you are now.
I like who I am.
You don't even know who you are.
I'm looking for my son. Dad?
Give your old man a hug! Rediscover what it is to be a panda.
So you see it for yourself there, brothers and sisters. Kung Fu Panda. When we break this down, again, you're never, ever going to see. My daughter's just put the link. If you need to get your tickets, Kung Fu Panda this coming Friday. And then we've got the Rice and Peace Sunday coming back Sunday. Brothers and sisters, if you was at the last breakdown of Blade on Sunday, we just done Blade on Sunday. Come on, brothers and sisters. Did we not go places? Did you not learn about Wesley Snipes properly? That they don't teach you, brothers and sisters. If you was there on Sunday, you know you need to come back this Sunday, brothers and sisters, for Blade Part 2.
And one will try to stop him dead. There are worse things out tonight than vampires.
Like what?
Like me. Half human.
Blade's mother was attacked by a vampire while she was pregnant.
Half immortal.
You got the best of both worlds. All our strengths, none of our weaknesses.
He is their greatest fear, and our only hope.
It's open season on all vampires.
You're one of them, aren't you?
No, I'm something else. Blade.
All right. And coming soon is Sorry to Bother You. I know many of you have never seen this. Big shout out to Sister Margaret, who was the first one to tell me about this movie, man. Crazy. But that's coming soon, brothers and sisters. That's coming soon. This coming Saturday with Warrior Queen, who's on this platform already. We're going to be doing the secret science of sickle cell. This is where hidden truth meets hidden science. Last Saturday, we had over 600 people on the platform, brothers and sisters, and it was a mashup session, man. This coming Saturday, we're going to be doing the secret science of sickle cell. So make sure you're there for that. Now, as you know, brothers and sisters, we've got to give a major shout out to our queen, Cicely Tyson, man. Come on, brothers and sisters. I'm sure you heard the news. Our queen passed away, and it'd be wrong for me, brothers and sisters, to go forward without us having a remembrance and a dedication. So this is to our queen.
You will always be my generous baby girl, whether you like it or not.
You know, Miss Ruth was a lady. And a lady always knows when to leave.
But I gotta see him, Mr. Sheriff. You ain't gotta see me.
We just gotta get back to reality.
The reality is that Westside Prep School is doing what we built it to do, Clarence.
Talk to the young.
We don't have that kind of time, Miss Jane.
What else you got, Jim?
Got the strength God gave us women to survive.
Adam, I don't want you to be any less than what you are.
Sometimes life doesn't give us any choice.
But it does. You always have a choice.
The joy of books is that you get to act it out for yourself. Things began to happen, and people began to talk about, this new actress, Cicely Tyson, and next thing I knew, I was here in front of you.
African Americans hold Cicely in such high regard. She would only do roles that served us as African Americans. She kept her way, she kept her class, she kept representing us, and she remained Cicely Tyson.
Come on, brothers and sisters, please show some love. Because, when we got great queens like that coming amongst us, brothers, and she absolutely used her talent, her skills for us as a people, man. Show us some love, brothers and sisters. You know what I mean? We don't have to know, but we grew up in her, especially when it comes to roots. Every time I see her face, I remember her cry for Kunta Kinte. Oh, beloved brothers and sisters, we love you, Cicely, and we pray for the safety of yourself and your family and your loved ones. So, big up to you, man. We don't forget our queens that served us. Also, brothers and sisters, I dedicate tonight's show to this particular sister, Patricia Anthony, because she was like a mother to me, brothers. I don't know whether her daughter's on the platform today. Let me know if you're on the platform, Sister Edwina. But this sister passed away. She was a conscious sister in our community, 82 years old, brothers and sisters, and she passed away on Friday. And so I want us to just please, even if you don't know this queen, take my word. She came to Egypt with us. She traveled throughout the whole of Egypt studying Black history with us. All of her children came out conscious. Her grandchildren served the Black community. She was like a child of God with us, brothers and sisters. So she passed away on Friday, and I said I would dedicate our show to her tonight, brothers and sisters. So put some beautiful comments in the chat room, because I'm going to pass this on to the family, that even though many of us may not know her, but she's a part of our family, brothers and sisters, and we will never, ever forget her works. So, brothers and sisters, let's kick off. Let's kick off, brothers and sisters. Let's kick off. Tonight's show, we've got 3 powerful kings of us, man. 3 powerful kings. And, you know, brothers and sisters, I'm just happy that I know some serious, powerful people that are actually with us. And if I can just get off here. Fantastic. Okay. Yeah. So literally, brothers and sisters, we got some powerful kings amongst us. And the first brother I'm going to be bringing on is a brother by the name, we know him as Pablo. We know him as Pablo, man. Pablo, are you with us, my king?
Definitely with you, brother.
Oh,
right here.
Look how handsome my brother is, man. You know what? So I was like, brother, give me back my hair, brethren. Give me back my hair, man. Car. Sure, the man too handsome on the backside. Brother Pablo, how you doing, my king?
Well, it's mixed feelings, to be honest with you, brother.
I know.
It's mixed feelings. I've come from a funeral today.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and a really strong brother, you know, really powerful brother, David Ogwe. We had his funeral today. So I was just listening to your warm up, you know, and you've been warming me. Yeah, you getting me back to where I need to be.
Oh, respect.
Yeah,
respect.
it was sad today. It was sad today.
Before we carry on, King, you know, it's pure love to you. We don't know the brother that you just spoke about. Oh, I don't know him personally, but please, brother, please send our condolences, and we want you to stay strong because we need you, brother. We need you in the right spirit, Pablo. Pablo, I've known you for donkey's years, okay, brother, and I know that you're a renowned legend in our community, brother. But for those on the platform that may not know you, brother, before we get into the main reason why you're here tonight, just let the brothers and sisters know who you are and what you've done, brother. Because I don't be no humble boy with me, you know, brethren. I want them to know my king that I brought on here tonight, please.
I'm the son of Stanford Reed and Barbara Reed, who's been on the planet for 57 years, and during which time we've journeyed. I think from as early as I can remember, you know, the issues of race and injustice has always been part of my spirit, has always been part of my journey, has always been part of what it is that I was aware of. And I suppose as time has gone by, you can see that whatever I've done, there's always been a golden thread that's run through everything. So it doesn't really matter what job I'm doing or what activities I'm in, it's always got the same kind of mission, you could say, same purpose, driving for everything. I suppose the things that you might, brothers and sisters might know me for is
please
the work that I've done at New Initiatives. Let's start there.
Yeah.
So founder member of New Initiative Youth and Community Association, which in its heyday during the 90s and some of the 2000s was, I would say, a major flagship HQ for African-centered thought and practice in the UK, inviting all our scholars and historians from all over the world to bring with them the information that most of us are still studying. So a lot of the books that are on our shelves these days, so many of those historians, academics and scholars came through New Initiatives. Whilst we were there, we learned so much, and we abandoned the concept of youth work and mentoring, and we embraced the concept of African-centered rites of passage. And we have been doing that work for about 30 years, 20 years of which completely owned the concept of rites of passage. But prior to that, I suppose we were working with Black perspective, let's call it that. That was our stepping stones to where we are today. From New Initiative and Community Association, you brothers and sisters might know me from the work I've done at the Black Cultural Archives.
Please break that down.
I was at the Black Cultural Archives for 14 years. When I got to BCA, we had one full-time worker and we were turning over about £44,000 per annum. This was some of the work of the founder members, of course. You'll be familiar with Len Garrison, for example.
Yes.
Who've done tremendous work in our community and set the foundations together with Sam Walker and the trustees at the time. I inherited that in October 2006, and I think it was 2014 or 2015, we launched the first National Black Heritage Centre in the UK, on Windrush Square. So yeah, very pleased with that. And then more recently is the work that we're doing at the village, still based at New Initiatives, but this now comes under the umbrella of the village, within which there are a number of partner organizations. Still fighting, brother. There's a lot I'd like to share with you today about the work that we're doing there. We've hit a crossroads again, you know. As soon as we start to get ourselves together and we start to kind of raise the bar, we tend to find that I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. We're going to find that our enemies come and they drag the carpet from underneath our feet. So we have a fight at New Initiatives once again.
Before you go there, my king, because that's the main thing I want you to go into, brother.
Yeah,
So
we're going to go.
Stop you, brother. Just before you go there, we have so many people just showing you love. On there, several people say, "Yeah, I know you from the BCA." We've had our sister Elaine says, "I used to chef at the BCA, and brother Paul was my biggest support. Great to see you, brother. Miss feeding you." Okay, so that's our a big shout out from sister Elaine.
I remember that good food.
Yeah,
remember that good food. Can't resist that. Yeah.
Fantastic. But just before you go into the main fight, brother, please, just 2 minutes, brother. 2 minutes. Explain to us the concept of rites of passage. Because we use this term and we think that everyone knows about what rites of passage is. But please explain in 2 minutes, brother, the importance of rites of passage and what is rites of passage. Because that will take us into why New Initiatives is so important and origin.
People use the term rites of passage, but actually I like to kind of further qualify that by talking about African-centered rites of passage.
Okay, yes.
Rites of passage, I suppose, some anthropological concept that talks about the transitioning from child to adult, and any community can do that, I suppose, and that has been practiced all over the world. But the African-centered rites of passage, a philosophy, a methodology, a practice that's grounded in the history and the culture and social ethics of people of African descent. We're now talking about abandoning, I should say, this period of adolescence, this idea that we've learned in the West, that there is this period that teenagers can be rebellious, can challenge their parents, you know, can behave terribly, and we put it under some idea of adolescence. When we look to African culture, we don't see this concept of adolescence. What we see is the child. We see process and we see the arrival of the adults. And that's the bit that we've been focusing on, this transitioning from child to adult. Of course, rites of passage is continuous, it's ongoing. The first rite of passage, of course, is birth. And prior to that, we have conception, you know, and from birth, we have the child, the baby then grows. And there is this period where it's allowed to be and should be and enjoys the period of childhood. And in a good society, that is a beautiful stage, is it not? This kind of this expansive stage of learning about the world, you know. Over time, we get to this moment where that stage has to change, and our communities have organized for this. And so the children are taken away often. And taken to a space, often away from the community. So in terms of many of the practices that I'm aware of, men will take boys away, women will take girls away, and they will be put through a process. And when that work is completed, they're returned. And when they return, there is a celebration. And that celebration, we refer to it as a graduation, but I suppose we're talking about a coming into manhood. And those boys now are men. They no longer are in that stage of being a child. They have let go of what it is to be a child, and they have embraced the early stages of being a man. And that is an ongoing process. That is not the beginning where you need to know nothing else because one period of isolation has taken place. Of course not. But there must be a time when we let go of childishness, the stage, the suckling of our mother's breast. There must come a point where that stops. And more to the point, there must come a point where our boys become the men who will marry our women, the fathers, the warriors, the businessmen.
Come on.
That then take our community forward together with our sisters as wives, looking after our families, building communities. And this is what this work is about. It is the failure of us organizing our rites of passage within our community, which brings about so much of the dysfunction that we have. Sometimes we're looking at 35-year-old teenagers, 50-year-old teenagers, still behaving like a child, because we haven't taken responsibility of our transitioning and the letting go of one stage and the embracing of another.
Brothers and sisters, you're listening to Brother Pablo tonight. Come on, man. Your brother, you see, you got such a cool persona. If you see the chat room, I don't know if you can see the people are just going crazy for you right now, big brother. Teach me how to be so cool and so deadly at the same time, Brother Paul. Please, just do a little workshop for me, veteran. Because, you know, we love you, big brother. We love your spirit. Brothers and sisters, you've seen Lee Jasper just joined the show. So he'll be coming up soon. So Brother Lee Jasper's in the house. So don't worry about it, man. We're safe. We're in the safe hands, brother. Brother Pablo and Lee Jasper. No one can come in and touch us right now. But now, brothers and sisters, you've heard the great works that Brother Paul, you've heard the philosophy, yeah, the African-centered rites of passage. Now, Brother Paul, let me tell you something before you go into why you're really here tonight, big brother. Brothers and sisters, you know, on this platform, we don't play. We don't play. Brother Paul, any business that comes on this platform, this Hidden Truth crowd on there, they patronize them. They literally, I mean, brothers, we have people that sponsor us. When they come on this platform, they said, Andrew, we sell out all of our products. Your fan base is just crazy. When we had a few weeks ago, a sister from Jamaica who needed to raise money up to stop her son being his foot being amputated, Brother Paul, we raised up over £1,500 just straight from the one show, brother. I mean, people just throwing money straight. So the reason I'm going through this, Brother Pablo, sorry, is that on this platform we don't play. It ain't about armchair revolutionaries, okay, that love just a little chit chat, because you know we know we got that in our community. Brothers and sisters, when you're about to listen to Brother Pablo tonight, if you're not outraged, and if we don't decide to do something and say, you know what, all right, tell us what to do, brother, tell us what to do, and we've got to make sure it's done. That's why I brought him on the platform tonight. Brother Pablo, please now explain what's happened now. You've heard the great works that we're doing, and we're in the midst of COVID and Black Lives Matter. All right, let's see what happens now. Brother, go ahead, King.
There's a lot to say. First of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to share what it is that's happening for us.
Don't thank me, brother. Just go, King.
I must thank you though, because the opportunity.
You're a king, brethren. You're a king.
The opportunity is important, brother, and I give thanks. About 7 years ago, the London Borough of Lambeth created an opportunity for the voluntary sector organizations to bid, to submit a proposal, a tender to run its community centers. This was at a time when the local authorities were experiencing financial challenges. And we submitted our tender, the Village. We brought together a number of voluntary sector organizations. We set up something called the Village, and we submitted our tender. And we were successful. We won that tender. We have correspondence to that effect, yeah? So what should have happened straight after that is the awarding of a lease, the releasing of grant, the fixing up of the building, and we would have been able then to run our services. Unfortunately, things didn't go as smoothly as that. What actually started to happen was, as we can see, a whole bunch of shenanigans and odd behaviors. So the London Borough of Lambeth started to deal with other priorities first, because it wasn't just us. There was a number of organizations that won the opportunity to run its centers. When it eventually got round to us, we started to hear the language of, well, we don't have that much money left anymore. Would you be prepared to reduce your ask, reduce your grant, reduce the grant? And so we ended in a discussion with the local authority about what it is we were going to deliver and about the length of the lease that we had then secured. Yeah, and this ongoing discussion carried on for some time, And what we start to see happening at this point is various managers that we were talking to, they either get promoted or they leave the organization, new managers come in, and you're always having to go back to this point of, you know, that we've won this contract. You have to award the contract, release the grant. We have work to do. Anyway, again, not as simple as that. It also includes what they're referring to as 2P, the 2P and over, the transferring over of council maintained staff that was employed by the local authority was also to be transferred to us. So this was going to be a centre that was run by us, and some of the staff that was employed by the local authority was going to come over too. Again, further complications that delayed the process. Can I tell you, what if I was to tell you this? 7 years ago, we started this discussion, during which time the London Borough of Lambeth offered us the opportunity to deliver pieces of work in line with the contract. They never awarded the contract, but they just said, can you run the adventure playground? Can you do this? Can you do that? And of course, we took up those offers, we delivered that work, we submitted our invoices, we were paid. And that happened for a number of years. We end up now with another round of change. New staff, new councillors, and then again, you know, what is this contract that you're talking about? As if they don't know what we're talking about, yeah? And now trying to wriggle out of the contract, right? This is what starts to happen now. They start to try to wriggle out of the contract, yeah? But we're holding them to it because it's been awarded to us. We won this contract. We have the right to this contract. We have the right, brother, to the security of tenure.
Yes.
The space that we're in, now managed by an African-led organization.
Yes.
Yeah? We have the right for this as taxpayers, and the fact that we have met the quality standard to run the center, right? This is something that has been experienced up and down our community, up and down the country for a number of years, right? This has happened time and time and time again. When it comes to the transferring of assets to us, that's the point where the line is drawn. And when you stand up within your community, too many examples of our people being targeted, yeah, character assassinated, and before you know it, they're walking street without no job, and we've lost the center and we've lost access to the centers, right? This has been going on for far, far, far too long, and it must end. In relation to what happened to us at New Initiatives, we've been involved in this discussion, believe it or not. For 7 years, we've been trying to get this contract out of these people. And again, new managers come in, new managers. And to some extent, there is some complacency on our part because we're still in the building delivering our work, right? This is mistake number one, if I was to be completely self-critical, yeah? We should have really stayed with it hardcore, you know? I'm not saying that we ever stopped going to meetings or we stopped writing, but we should have really not acknowledged that given the first opportunity, yeah, they will come again and pull the carpet from underneath us, right? But we felt that because we had letters of agreement around the lease, letters of agreement around the grant, letters of agreement around the specification to the building that would allow us to do this work, yeah? We're expecting now for them to honor that. Well, where have we seen in our history that these people have honored anything? Anyway, let me move on. On the 16th of December last year, we receive a letter.
Listen.
During COVID.
During COVID?
Yeah. With the backdrop of Black Lives Matters, no matter what we think about it. Yeah. Within that backdrop. During which time we were delivering food hampers.
Listen, brothers and
local
sisters.
Community, right? Let me tell you about what happened. I'm going to come to the main point in a second. Yeah. But during the time when we're delivering food hampers to our local community, right? So some articulated truck could not gain access to the center and had to drive that truck all the way to my house in Catford. Yeah. All these boxes of food for our people.
Yes.
3 school meal families, right?
Yes.
Boxes of food coming into my house, taking up 3 rooms. Some of those boxes had to go in front of the house, didn't even have space for it, floor to ceiling. Then the volunteers need to come pick up the food from my house and then deliver it all the way back to Stockwell and to disseminate the food in and amongst the community. It's at this moment.
Listen, brothers and sisters.
And again, at the same time, when we're working with your organization, brother, when we're working with the two branches of Manhood Academy, when we're working with 100 Black Men, when we're working with all these organizations, pulling them together, right, under a unified umbrella, it's at this moment, this letter comes on the 16th of December.
What letter? What letter?
A letter to vacate the building and remove our possessions forthwith. We have 20
No. You did not say that to me, King. Brothers, listen, what letter?
A letter from the London Borough of Lambeth telling us that we are to vacate the building and remove our possessions within 28 days. Now, hold on. Let's for 1 second put to the side the 30-year track record of excellence from this site.
How long you been there, brother?
30 years.
30 years.
We can claim a 30-year history on site for local, national, and international works. Yeah, bringing together communities and connecting us under African-centered rites of passage. Right? Okay. It's within this period, within that context, you write us a letter and tell us that we must leave the center, yeah, within 28 days. Now, you can imagine, well, first of all, this is not an organization that just responds politely to things like that. And so the fight has started, the fight to regain access, and not just access, but ownership of this facility. And here's the mistake that they've made. They've messed with the wrong people on this occasion, because we're going to take this issue and make it bigger than this center. Because it's not just about us. This is an issue, yes? As soon as we get some firm foundations and we get some sense of we're comfortable in the space and we start doing the kind of work that needs to be done in our community, this is precisely the moment when the attack comes and destabilizes us. So on this occasion, I'm reaching out to the organizations that has had a similar experience, to the organizations that we know and love, that similarly have no security of tenure. It's time for us to pull together as organizations under one umbrella and speak to truth. Speak truth to power, I should say. Speak truth to power in such a way that sends a tremor, yeah, that we're coming for our assets. And no longer will we be played like this, yeah? Because this pattern of abuse, you can call it whatever you want to call it, any adjective, I don't business, because ultimately at the end of the day, it's the same thing. This attack on us, right? Whether you want to own it as white supremacy, although white is not supreme, yeah? But whether you want to own that concept, yeah? Or whatever you want to call it, the attack that is consistently on us at the very, let me just say this. We don't have too much of a fuss when we're dying on the front line when it comes to COVID. We don't have too much of a fuss when it comes to the overrepresentation and the underrepresentation of our people when it comes to all the important matters of life. But when it comes to the transference of assets to our community to build firm foundations in order to establish some sense of home on these shores, I'd be interested to find out how many of our organizations have that security. That's all I'm saying.
Brother Paul, sorry, Pablo, brother, I don't know if whether you can see the comments coming down, brother. Brother, all right, listen. Two things. Please, there's over 400 of us on this platform right now. Yeah? What are our marching orders? Yes, we can contact other organizations again, because I think straight with people like Sister Space and various other organizations, okay? And we've got contacts with them and we'll make sure we speak to them. But what can we as individuals, honest, because the passion now is on fire right now, brother. What can we do? How can we help?
First of all, we've started a petition. And if you go to change.org/ittakesavillage, yeah, change.org/ittakesavillage. I think we've got 1,700 signatures there at the moment. We have to smash that tonight. We must at least
smash that tonight.
Come on. 2,000 tonight, one time, right? We
Come
must
on, brothers and sisters, and spread it on your WhatsApp. Brother, is there someone in your team that can put it in the chat room? I don't know if you've got anyone on your team here, because it's easy to put the link in the chat room. People can just hit it straight away whilst the show's going on.
Whilst we're in, as soon as we get, as soon as you move from me, I'll certainly do that. So it will be there, right? Okay. So one of the things we definitely have to do is sign that petition. Yeah, we have to do that. Another thing that I think it's important for us to do is, you know, you've just mentioned another organization. All the organizations out there that have had a similar, experience, you need to get in touch with us now. We need to come under one umbrella for this thing.
Come on,
right?
come on.
Let us come together. Yeah, if you've had a similar experience, if you've been leading community organization, Black-led organization, African-led organization, right? And you've had a similar experience, it's time for us to come together as one, right?
People are already saying, I've signed. People are already signing it, brother.
Come on, that needs to happen. That definitely, and for everybody that is signing right now, I thank you. I thank you. We're investing in our people. We're not necessarily, because normally speaking, the bucket goes round and we're asking people to put money in it. No, it's not that. We're on politics now. We're on politics right now, right? People power, right? So that's one of the things that we're going for. I'm very interested in the organizations out there that have had similar experience. I'm interested in organizations out there that are trying to secure some kind of tenure within their local authorities and are having issues. I'd like to know what they are, because you're going to experience the same thing we have, right?
Yes.
So we're not just talking about those that can look back historically and say this happened to this organization, Bridgetown and what have you, all over the place, right? I'm talking about the organizations that are trying to engage with local authority, and we're just not getting respected, right? That needs to happen. When it comes to things like what can we do? Well, of course, you can speak to your local councillors, you can speak to your MPs, right? Raise this issue with them and put pressure on them, because we are coming. I'd very much be interested in what Lee has to say as well, because
Lee's coming straight.
I know Lee's coming in. I know he's coming in, right? Because we got local elections coming up, right? We've got local elections coming up. So what are we asking for? What are we demanding? If you want my vote this time round, what are we demanding? Not asking for. What are we demanding? Okay, so we do need to put together a series of demands that need to be put to these people. And if they deliver for us, they promise to deliver for us, then you will get our vote.
That's why next week, brother, the whole show's dedicated to politics. Brother, time is going, okay? There's one or two, no, brother, because, brother, I'm going to say off the air, but I mean, straight off the cuff, brother. Can you come back next week?
Of course.
Same time, 5 minutes, you know, just because I want to give us, but I want us to take this over, because this ain't no joke business now. I don't want, brothers and sisters, we need this brother back next week to carry just to give us the updates from next week. I'm going to try and get Sister Space on as well next week, because next week the show is dedicated to politics. In fact, Lee Jasper needs to be on next week, because this is a political show next week, taking the initiative party. Okay, brothers and sisters, do me a favor, as the show's going on tonight. Okay, brothers and sisters, once you've signed, put down on the chat room that I've signed it and I've shared it. If we're not up to 2,000 next week, then I'm saying, what's the point of me doing this show? Yeah, we're now approaching over how many? There's over 412 of us on this platform right now. If we all sign it and then we share it, no, this brother should not come back next week and say we haven't touched 2,000, way above 2,000. Sign it and share it. Once you've signed it, put it down in the chat room.
I just put the link. I just put the link in the group.
Brothers, just put the link in the group right now, brothers and sisters. Brothers, just put the link in. And we've got people from all over the world on it. It doesn't matter whether you're in America, whether you're in Canada, whether you're in the Caribbean. You just hit that link and let them know that Black lives really do matter. Brother, I've got a few people wanting to ask a few questions.
Of course.
But because of time,
okay,
I've got to move on. So I'm going to use those questions next week. Brothers and sisters, next week, Brother Pablo's going to be just at the top of my head, because I'm so moved right now. I'm shaking. You lot can't see, but I am actually shaking. Yeah, because I try to be a very happy brother. Many of you see me joke around, go on, Papa G, lick shot, but I'm passionate, man. And I don't like to see our people being used like this. Yeah, politically they say Black Lives Matter. Here's an organization that's working with black youth, and not just black youth, black people, and they're not selling drugs. They're not just having shebeen and dance and whatever. Okay, they're doing productive work. Brother, I'm getting a part of me is getting vexed right now, brethren. I better just mind my language because Lee Jasper's here right now, and I can't let man see me cuss too bad word because I'm gonna be going down. You know, the man's gonna slap me up on air, brethren. So
if I'm the warm up for Lee, it's problems, boy. We got trouble in the house. We got trouble in the house.
Brother, see, brother sisters don't play. Listen, when I put this flyer out, I said I got 3 of the baddest minds on this platform. 3 kicking shot on this platform. Brothers and sisters, please show some love in the chat room for our brother Pablo. He's going to be back next week anyway. But show him some love, brothers and sisters. He needs our support, man. And we ain't going to be like those Negroes back in the day, brothers and sisters, whereby it's all about what I can get. No crabs in a barrel. We are all for one and one for all. Brother Pablo, much love to you, my king. You stay strong, brother. And we got your back, brother. I want you to know that, brother. We have absolutely got your back.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, every single time, brothers and sisters. So that was our brother Pablo. And just as we're moving the show, and you make sure you sign that petition, yeah, and share it. Sign it and share it.
All I need from you is a good conversation, cause it gives me sweet inspiration, and to tell you I never felt this way before. I know there is some way today. There is some way today. Love your brothers, my friends. Love your sisters. Love your brothers, my friends. Love your sisters. And I must admit that you got me thinking. You got me thinking. There were times I thought that I was sinking. I was sinking. But I always.
Brothers and sisters, I'm telling you, man, I hope you can feel the fire. I can see so many people saying they've signed it, brother. There should be at least 400 plus signatures tonight we've shared. And you make sure you show the passion. We're going to continue that conversation. I had to drop 2 little musical vibes because if I don't separate you before I bring on Lee, then I know the authorities going to be coming for me, brethren. Legally, I had to play some music before you 2 join forces, man. Legally. Lee Jasper, come on, big brother. Unmute yourself, King. Come on, man. Don't be no shy bait brother with us tonight, man. I want Warrior Lee online tonight. Brother Lee, you've been on my show several times because, you know, we just love you, brother Lee. We really do. Just before you touch on what brother Pablo has stated tonight, just for those who may, I don't know how, but those maybe 1 or 2 people that may know nothing about you, brother, please just give us a little rundown. Who is Lee Jasper?
Yeah, my name's Lee Jasper. I'm an activist now, 40 years in the standing. I've represented most of the high-profile families and cases in the struggle for race equality and justice in the United Kingdom. Creator and founder of Operation Black Vote, director of the 1990 Trust, a radical black charitable organization, chair of the Mangrove. Many of you may have seen the Small Axe program on the Mangrove 9. So I was chair of the Mangrove for 15 or so years. Former deputy mayor of London, policing director for London, director of equalities for London. So the list just goes on and on and on. So you can Google it, you can find out, but yeah, a long history in the struggle for our people.
Brilliant, brother, brilliant. And I know, as you know, we spoke today, brother, because I see some of the work that you're doing, brother, and I would like you to just let us know. But before we go there, brother, Lee, what are we saying about brother Pablo, man? Talk to us. What's resonating in your mind?
Well, the problem that Pablo's having at New Initiatives is a problem that all Black groups have got in Lambeth, and that is that we have been denied our rightful access to assets that should be really handed over to the council, to the community, and even those assets that we already won. Let's take, for example, Brixton Recreation Centre. We all know how that came about. 1981, the Brixton erupted after the new crossfire, 13 dead and nothing said. Followed by uprisings in every major city in this country. And part of the payback was we'd have a centre in Brixton, which young people could go and train. You could take your child to nursery while you went in the gym. There was a swimming pool. We had no sports facilities at the time. And we got that centre having dances in the centre, having birthdays and celebrations there, political meetings there. Nelson Mandela came to the centre. Mike Tyson came to the centre. Muhammad Ali passed by the centre. So it was a centre, and it was our centre. That's been taken off us, run by the council, given to some white people in Greenwich to run. And 40 years later, after 1981, we've got a centre that most youths can't afford to get into and no longer belongs with us. So whether it's a Brixton Rec or whether it's Code 7, Code 7's been run by Asher Senator, been in the borough since 1996. I've been promised X amount of times by the local authority that they're going to find him a building and give him a building. All now he's still stuck in a broom cupboard in some little medical centre, not with the access that was promised. And now we see the same thing happening to New Initiatives. And what we find is, we know mainstream white organisations in this borough have been given asset community transfers under the legislation. And we know that our community is disproportionately excluded. I can't find a single organisation that has been given their building, apart from the Abeng Centre, which is the Caribou Education Centre on Gresham Road. And that's the only one in the last 20 years that I know of that has got their building. Even the Brixton Domino Club, how long has that been in our community? God knows how long, more than 30, 40 years. Even that has now been taken back by the council. So when it comes to property and assets, you know, this thing gets my 100% support, because it cannot be allowed to go on that we, and the thing is, brother man, is that people look to Brixton as if we're some radical revolutionary centre of the black struggle because they think Brixton's powerful. And then when they come here and we want to show them around, we haven't got a single building we can take them to with any pride to say that we own this. That's got a scandal that's got to end. So he couldn't get more support from me if he tried. And we'll be backing him both on the petition and elsewhere to make sure that the council listen up to the issues that he's giving rise to.
Brother Lee, thank you so much, my brother. I thank you, brother. I know you're a man with enough political connects, brother. Let's make this happen now, brother Lee. I've seen, you know, I always keep up to date with the works that you're doing online and on your social media, big brother. And some of the things I see you getting involved in now, brother Lee, in terms of freedom and justice and equality for those who've not got a voice. Brother, I had to bow, and I just had to say, you know what, Lee, please come on my show and share some. Lee, for those who may not know on the platform, please, what are the main things you're involved? What is it that you want us to know, and how can we help you, brother?
Well, first of all, you know, welcome to I love the concept Global Africans. We are global Africans. I want people to think outside of the box when they think about themselves as part of that global family. And let's talk about the issues I'm involved in from a global perspective. As you know, I'm dealing with lots of issues around deaths in police custody and racial harassment. But let me just, because I know time's tight today and I can see Viv is with us.
Brothers and sisters, River Moon is in the house. River Moon is in the house.
So I'm going to rattle through this if I may. But being involved in these kind of campaigns for justice. It's incredibly important because these cases represent the most fundamental breaches of our human rights. And it's not just about black men dying in custody here in the United Kingdom, as tragic as that is. It's actually the reality that black people are dying at the hands of police officers all over the world, and indeed on the African continent, as the End the SARS campaign in Nigeria has showed us quite completely. Let's take the case of here in the United Kingdom of George Nichenko, 27-year-old black man who was shot dead outside his family home in Ireland, Manorfield Close, on the 30th of December 2020. Nobody knows that. Nobody's heard about that case. No, there's no campaign out there that you can see demanding justice for George Nichenko. He was suffering mental ill health. His mother called the police for help, and the police turned up, and he ended up being shot 6 times in the back, brother.
Stop it!
In the back. In front of his mother, in front of his daughter. So that's just one of the cases. Then you've got the case of 24-year-old Mohammed Hassan. He was arrested in Cardiff on Friday, the 8th of January, just gone, 2021. And they came to his house. They arrested him, taken him to Cardiff police station. He was released the next morning. He came home and he said to his people when he got there, "Fam, the police beat the shit out of me." And he went to sleep. Within a couple of hours, he died as a consequence. 24 years old, waiting for the birth of his daughter. He just moved to Cardiff from London to escape some serious gang violence within the Somali community, and he ended up dead at the hands of the police in Cardiff. And you can find his petition, Mohammed Hassan, online. We want you to sign that because we want the police to release the body cam videos that they're refusing to release that shows that they violently arrested that brother, and that was in part and cause of his death. Then you've got a case of,
Before you carry on, brother, because I know you're passionate. Brother, make sure you got the links on this, because we don't want you to just to say it, because we're passionate about what you're saying tonight, brother. And we want to make sure we got the links so we can move into action mode.
All right. Well, I haven't got anybody to help me, but I'm going to post them as I can. And when there's one right now from my blog that you can pick up what the case that I'm saying.
So brothers, is in the chat room.
Yeah, it's in the chat room. Then you look at the case in Belgium. I don't know if people saw the riots in Belgium recently.
Yes.
It was the weekend after riots. That was because of the death of a 23-year-old black man, Ibrahima Barry, who died on the 13th of January, 2021. And has seen massive demonstrations. Police stations were coming under firebomb attack every weekend, and those demonstrations are continuing right now. For the video that showed Ibrahim Barry being battered by the Belgian police service to the point where he too sadly lost his life. In Paris, France, just over the road, Paris is closer to London than Manchester and other cities in the United Kingdom. You've got the case of Adam Traore, 23 years old, in 2016, where he was battered by 8 of the French police, gendarmes, and subsequently lost his life. Or you may have seen more recently the case of Michael Zeckler. He was caught on camera being battered by the French police. And again, what happened? There were massive protests all over France for the last 5-6 weeks. Rioting, firebomb, police station, you name it. Then we note the death of Kevin Clark here in the United Kingdom, 35-year-old black man and father who died after being brutally restrained by 9 officers in Lewisham in 2018. And they just had his inquest, and he said that the way he was restrained was inappropriate and contributed to his death. Well, you're bound to die when you've got 8 police officers kneeling on your back and crushing your chest to the floor. You've got the case of Sheku Bayou, 31-year-old black man, father of 2 children, died after being brutally arrested in Scotland in 2015. You've got the case of Sianda Mazanga. This is the case that you're no doubt referring to. She's a 22-year-old black woman from South Wales who worked as a HR officer for South Wales Fire Service. She was the victim of a racist attack by 3 white people in May 2019 at a camping site in Wales. She was 20 at the time. She's only 4'10", and when she was attacked, beaten. You can see the bruises and the battering on her face when you go to freesteander.com. I'll put that one in the link too. She was 20 at the time. Do you know she reported being a victim of the a racist attack, and the police came, arrested her. This was a woman who's a HR officer for South Wales Fire Service, never been in trouble before, and she got 4.5 years for defending herself against these three white people who attacked her. And then what I've noticed as well is how many children, black children, are dying. I don't know if people are beginning to pick this up, but let's take the case of Noah Donoghue. He's 14. He went missing on the 21st of June, 2020. His body was found 6 days later in a locked storm drain. That's locked from the outside, storm drain in the middle of North Belfast. And his family have complained bitterly. They said, the authorities have said he must have fell down and killed himself. Well, how do you get in a storm drain and lock yourself in from the outside? And then subsequently, they found a man who was in possession of Noah Donoghue's laptop and a school jacket. And they still are contesting that that boy killed himself. What about the case of Shukri Abdi? She was 12. She was out playing in Bury, Greater Manchester on the 27th of June, 2019. And she was eventually found drowned in the river. And her family contend that she was pushed into that river by the children she was with. She's a young Somali, she's hijab wearing, she's with a group of white children near a river, and her family have been campaigning ever since. Christopher Kapasa, age 13, who was found dead in the River Sion in South Wales on the 1st of June, 2019. He was playing with a group of 14 friends, and he was pushed from a high point into the river, and our authorities are contending that he killed himself. So you can see in the UK, brother, these are just some of the cases that I've had the unfortunate responsibility of getting involved with to provide some support. But it's not just here in the United Kingdom. Let's talk about, everybody knows about the situation in the US. I needn't go too long on that. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, all the names, Freddie Gray, all the names reel off your tongue. But in the biggest African diaspora outside of Africa, Brazil, who knows that? We've seen the killing of a 14-year-old boy shot in the back, Joseph Alberto Silveira Freitas, who was shot in the back by Brazilian police. Or Pedro Matos Pinto, who was recently killed by police in the same shanty town and favela as João. Hear this, brother. Just before Christmas, a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old were shot by Brazilian police. Black children in Brazil were shot dead by police in Brazil. The extent to which we see black killings of people of African descent in Brazil is off the scale. It's like a permanent war out there. Let me move on because time is tight. But Australia, listen, this one burns my heart, because Australian Aboriginals are the forgotten African diaspora in the global community.
Say that again.
Yeah. And I say that, we've got to pay a lot of attention, because what happens to the least of us will happen to the majority of us given time. In Australia, you've got David Dungay, who was murdered. His last words were, guess what? I can't breathe. You got the murder of by a young black woman called Miss Du, D-H-U, in 2004, or Wayne Fella Morrison. Do you know that a brother in Australia was arrested by the police? Now, you know how hot it is in the Australian outback. He was put in the back of a police car, a van, and he was left there for 8 hours. That brother died in the back of that police van in 120-degree heat in the middle of the outback. That's the brutality of his death. And of course, you've got the killings of over 100 Nigerians at the Lekki Tolly Bridge, again, in the latter part of last year. The Nigerian government just opened up on people and killed people. And I could go on, but talking about solutions rather than problems. One of the things that we're doing,
Please.
One of the things that we're doing is that we're talking to the African diaspora in Australia, in America, in Europe, in Brazil, and we're talking about bringing together a unique African diaspora coalition that is about justice, not just for one person in Britain or a couple of people in Brazil, but coming together for a global discussion about how we deal with these matters. And we're working with Peter Herbert, who's a former judge and chair of Society of Black Lawyers in Kenya. We're working with the Floyd family in America. We're working for those families that people we just spoke about in Brazil in relation to bringing that together. But also, my brother, post George Floyd's killing, there is a United Nations inquiry into law enforcement relations with the African diaspora. And we intend as a global African community to make our submission to that United Nations inquiry so that we can bring these issues to the fore. And here in the United Kingdom, we're having a national consultation through an organization and network called Black Men for Change that has decided that it's putting together, these are Black men of which Paul's a part, I'm a part, Viv's a part, in which we're coming together in the UK to say, look, we need to have a national consultation with Black communities about what is our response to policing, because we can't keep repeating history of turning up outside police station, waving some banners, and then waiting for the next time this stuff happens. We have to change the system completely because it's not fit for purpose. And if we don't dedicate ourselves to that cause, then we're just going to carry on to see these body bags pile up. So we're having a consultation where we're going to hit every major town and we're going to take evidence from people in that town around their experience. And we're going to talk about how we can construct a framework that is the voice of the African heritage community about how we and what we want from policing in our community. So I just want people to know that, you know, these are issues that look like they're common to Britain, but they're actually global in their effect. We have a problem, but the Aboriginals, the Brazilians, even the African Americans have a much more serious problem. What it behoves us is not to struggle in isolation, as if we're stuck into some sort of rut here in the United Kingdom, but to engender that conversation between Africans across the globe, bringing forward that Garveyite vision of a global African movement that is focused on these issues. So on that point,
brother, I mean, keep typing in the chat room, brothers and sisters. I'm gonna let you lot know. Melissa says, Brother Lee, speak, Jasper. Angela Ryan's put up the ones. Bernice says, yes, the system stinks. Glasmin says, we must unite. Joycelyn saying unity. Lorna saying global. Sister J says, I'm ready to. Sister Morita says, I see you, brother. Victoria says, unity is power. Sandy says, unity is, I mean, brother, I can go on. People are putting up their ones. Melissa says, I love this. Mon Taylor says, global network, we must connect and rise. Carla says, excellent. Thank you for what you're doing, Brother Lee. Sheila said, oh, you chat. I can't read them all, Brother Lee. We are absolutely just blown, brother. You've given us, you just shot bullets, just bullets. And then not only did you shoot bullets, but then you came with the solutions too, okay, brother? Lee, once again, we thank you. Please put the links in there. I wanted time for brothers and sisters to comment on what you've just stated. And to us, brothers and sisters, we got I'm going to spend just a few minutes because we got Viva Moon in the background waiting. If you like to say anything to Lee Jasper, raise your hand, please, brothers and sisters. You know what to do. Just raise your hand. Let me know if there's anything you'd like to ask Lee or say to Lee, or if there's a question in the Q&A box, put a question down. But I'll see if we can get 1 or 2 minutes because we've got our keynote today, Viva Moon for today. Lee Jasper's put the link in there. If there's anything you want to say. Okay, I think I see Hudea Bait Israel. I'm gonna come to you, my queen. Just give me 2 seconds. Hey, because I know people are on fire right now. People are on fire. Sister Hudea, I remember you, sister, man. I didn't realize you was on the platform. Sister Odea, can you, listen, can you speak, sister? Unmute your mic.
Great. Nice to see you, Brother Andrew. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure, my queen. I remember you, my sister.
Wonderful to see Lee Jasper. I haven't seen him for a little while, but I was on a forum recently when he was speaking. I very much would like to speak to Brother Lee Jasper about a very important situation, which is very current, and that is to do with the planned genocide using Bill Gates' vaccine here in the UK. All right, we need some legal people involved. The work is already done. The legal work has already been completed by Judge Alfred, who lives in Canada. This is the same judge who prosecuted, Tony Blair and George Bush for war crimes for the war in Iraq. Okay, and Tony Blair was obviously prosecuted as well and was about to be arrested when he went to South Africa. Now, we need some help here, and I feel sure that Lee Jasper will have some legal connection. So I'll be happy to leave my number. I did have your number, Lee Jasper, when I saw you X amount of years ago, but I no longer have that contact. So please, can we connect?
Yeah, sure. If you, I'll put my email in the chat box. You can drop me an email and we can take it from there.
Beautiful. All right, Lee. We're moving on very quickly to brother, but stay there, Lee, 1 second.
Yeah, no worries.
Sister Myrna C said, how can I support and learn more about the African heritage community? 30 seconds, brother Lee, 30 seconds.
Yeah, you know what? I don't want to crunch on Viv's time. So why don't I just put my email in there and then people can email me and I will respond accordingly.
Okay, as you're doing that, brother, Lloyd Eubank Green, he says he's listening from Jamaica. He says, do you have links in the Caribbean where they can get involved?
Yeah, we do have links in the Caribbean, so we'd be delighted to do that. I've just put my email in the chat room to everybody. So in fact, it's not to everybody. I'll do it to everybody now. So please feel free to email me at your leisure. We'll make sure you're linked up to the struggle.
Fantastic, fantastic, brother Lee. I know there's so many more questions coming through and people putting their hands up, but brother Lee, we thank you so much. I say you've been on my show so many times, King, and you never failed to deliver, brother. Never failed to deliver. Brothers and sisters, what a day. We've got 3 kings on one platform and they haven't come to play. And we know we've got our brother Viva Moon. And as I said before, we have got to keep this show going and absolutely powerful. So before Viva Moon comes on.
I came to shake some African tables because someone has to hear something. See, this piece might offend many, but who's counting? I think you Africans complain too much about slavery. I'm just saying. First off, whose fault was it? No, wait, I don't seek to make light of the effect of those dark years on the African continent. If you spend too much time complaining about how you were enslaved in the past, you may actually be blinded to the modern ways in which you are still being enslaved. For instance, how slavery of the past was physical, but now it's mental. Like how I can make you think that your country is worth nothing and you haven't really arrived until you come to mine. So then I wouldn't have to come to your country to fetch slaves on a ship anymore, because they'll run here by themselves forevermore. Like how I can make you think that my products are better than anything your country can ever produce, and so you haven't really got it until you import mine. Like how I can make you believe that all your heroes are villains and my heroes will soon come to rescue your land after they are done rescuing mine. Like how Alexander the Great is described as a conqueror for conquering, but Shaka Zulu is labeled a bloodthirsty barbarian for doing the exact same thing. Like how your queen mothers are localized but our queen is globalized. Like how Spider-Man is called a superhero but Kwekwanansa is called a superstition. Like how I can make you think that every aspect of your culture is primitive and every aspect of mine is called modernization. Like how Chigbodi is not a cool name to give to your child, but once you call her Patience, she can move mountains. Like how I can make you think that you aren't really married until you have a white wedding. Like how I can make you think that you need my engineers to erect your mega structures, but since you can't afford them, you need my loans to pay them. Africa, wake up. How long until you realize realized that we never really ended slavery, we rebranded it. And while you were busily lamenting on the effects of the transatlantic slave trade, we found a new way to do it. How's that for smart? Now that's strategy. From physical slavery to mental slavery, well, guess what's next? Spiritual slavery. I think you guys call that religion, but let's leave that for another day.
Right of speech.
Brothers and sisters, put some ones in. If you felt that, brother, man, put some ones. You done know. Wakanda forever. Lee, we thank you so much, my king, for your love and your dedication. Viv Amoon, please, brother, come forward, king. Come forward, my beautiful brother. Unmute yourself, brother. Unmute yourself. You're mute still, brother. Yeah. Let's hear you, brother. Let's make sure we can hear you.
Here I am.
Come on.
Live.
Brothers and sisters,
Live.
for the first time on the Hidden Truth platform, we've come to the big man himself, Viv Amoon, one of the greatest global strategists. When this brother speaks to me, brothers and sisters, he doesn't know it, but he leaves me dizzy, just dizzy, because he's got so much information, not just information in terms of, okay, did you know this, but in terms of what he's doing. Brother Viv Amoon, we bow to you. Make sure we in the chat room you show some love for Viv Amoon. He's there, us. We've got over 400 and nearly 50 people now waiting for you, brother Viv. So you know what? Please, who's Viv Amoon? And then you can start your workshop, brother. I allow you to share screen, and you can just do what you do best, brother Viv. Brothers and sisters, I am honored. I'm honored to have this brother. I mean, look at the brother. He looks like a model. He looks like he just Louis Vuitton the session. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't even have to speak. Just a little smile on Viv Amoon, and you're feeling good for the day. Brother Viv Amoon, lick shot from Babylon, rice and peas, buffalo soldier, and a dreadlock rasta. Take the show, brother.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. Good evening to the brothers and sisters. I'm just reorientating from settling in my grandchildren. And those of you, many of you won't know, but I look after my grandchildren at the moment. I've been doing so for 2 years as a single black man, looking after my 3 grandchildren, a 6-year-old girl, an 8-year-old boy, and a 9-year-old girl. So it's been like a third rebirth for me. And when I took responsibility, and this is just a little sidebar, because I think I just want to bring a little bit of my humanity to the piece before I get into the meat of where I want to go with this. But when I took responsibility for them, it was my duty. I saw it as my duty, but I did it with a heavy heart. I'm not gonna pretend otherwise. I was already globe-trotting, and had roots put down in East Africa, and was busy functioning from there, and thinking, yeah, 6 months, and I had to do a complete revamp to take on board those beautiful grandchildren. And you know what I didn't realize then, what I realize now, they've been the making of me. They've given me a rebirth. It's like I'm 20 years younger than I was before. So I give thanks for them every single day.
Brothers and sisters, did you hear that? As a single man, he's taking custody not of his children, of his grandchildren. Come on, man. Black community, white community. Hey, if you're on this platform, show the brother love already. He hasn't even started yet, but he's made us fall in love with him.
If we did more to take responsibility for our children, they wouldn't be out there killing each other. I mean, this is the uncomfortable, unpalatable truth that we deny too often. There are many of us running around doing our stuff, very self-orientated and not thinking about what's taking place in our wider community until it runs up and kicks off our door. So the least I can do is look after mine. And as I said, it's been the making of me. First slide is Black Socks, the social action economic development network that was established in 2016, first day of Black History Month. And it wanted to be completely different from all of the stuff that had gone on before. And we've seen it. We've seen an outburst, the tragedy, the marching, the violence, the looting, the burning, and out of it comes another community hero. Out of those embers comes another community hero, comes another organization. And, you know, because our melanin in our pineal glands, it's just so saturated with that melanin, we get excited and hyped up about it all. Create yet another organization. No plan, no strategy. Usually one individual, charismatic, dynamic, very articulate, seemingly fearless. And we don't look beyond that. That's more than enough. And that organization, that group, say organization is to suggest that it is organized, that it has a long-term plan, an intergenerational plan. No, it's not. It's running on gas and running on oxygen. Eventually it burns out. Maybe it's a scandal. It runs out of fuel in the tank because it hasn't considered logistics, or it implodes because the people inside begin to fight with each other, struggling for the power they don't have. Black Sox want it to be different from that. We see organizations coming into existence. Oh, I want to do stuff in schools. Hundreds of thousands of organizations all piling in to do stuff in schools at a very low level for pennies, making absolutely no difference to our young people whatsoever, duplicating each other, and as a result, competing over those crimes. And the areas where we could be doing stuff in a more strategic way, we're nowhere to be found. And I'm going to get into some of those. Black Sox, Lee and I, Lee's a founder member of Black Sox, we can often refer to it as a skin or a vehicle. It's designed to take us somewhere. It's a skin because it gives the impression that it's unified. But underneath, there are individual organizations and individuals who are themselves have their own networks. And it's loose enough for people to hold on to their own identities, their organizations do what they need to do, and yet be unified. It's a dynamic model. And one of the key things about Black Sox is it said from the very beginning, it is not interested in delivering services. We've got more than enough organizations out there operating operationally, eking out an existence, delivering services. We didn't want to get into that. We didn't want to tie ourselves down in any way. What we wanted to do is begin to fill the spaces that weren't occupied by us. And that's the hyper strategic spaces that Lee began to allude to towards the end of his presentation. But let me move on because I just want to touch on these things. I'll probably get back to Black Sox when I come in. Black Sox's focus is on doing for self. That's its primary objective. It's its primary interest to enable our communities to get the resources, the intelligence, the right kind of mindset necessary for us to operate in a more unified way in order to do for self. A whole range of models out there. The one that we have adopted is the asset-based community development model. It's not new. The white communities and other communities have been using that model for centuries. It's just our communities in the smallest areas like the UK that haven't adopted it. We see it playing out on the African continent and elsewhere, not here. An asset-based development model is key. Asset-based community development model, ABCD. Asset, it says everything we need exists in our community already. We don't need to go anywhere for it, we've already got it. 80% of us work within the public sector, in local government, regional government, central government, the hospitals and so on and so forth. We run the country for them. So the intelligence, all the knowledge, all the expertise, we've already got it in our community already. We don't need to go anywhere else for it. We have the assets necessary to do what needs to be done. What we've lacked is the community development. And you used to have these community development workers, the local authorities used to push out into our communities. They were more deprived than we were in terms of competence and awareness. They were never going to help us to develop. The community development needed to come within, from within. And it didn't happen enough in any cause.
So Brother Viv,
yes.
Some people are just asking, are you is the slide meant to be started yet, or you just break in? People just
it started. I'm stuck on Black Socks. I'm going to keep it moving.
Okay,
don't worry.
People are just asking in the chat rooms. So
Yeah. No, it's because I said I was going to move on.
All right.
All right. But I just want to break down the asset-based community development piece first. So the community development element of it has never really happened in this country. We've never really focused on the development of assets and resources in our community. That's why we see, I will never blame him for us not having. That makes no sense to me, because we're effectively disempowering ourselves. We're saying he has the power, right, to determine our success and our failure. I believe we have that power. So if we have not achieved what is necessary, it's because we haven't learned, right, from what's gone on before. We haven't learned and remodeled as a consequence of that. And if we don't accept ownership for that reality, we can't do anything about it. We're effectively saying that the power and the responsibility belongs to somebody else. So the asset-based community development model is the model that we use. Black Socks wants to bring other things into existence. That's its focus. And a good example of that is the Black Men for Change organization that Lee's made reference to. We know that Jake Ferguson came on and spoke about network before. It's really, really, really important advance, I believe. There hasn't been a network like this in the UK in my living memory, and people are welcome to correct me and tell me otherwise. It is, just like Black Socks, a network of individuals and organizations and other networks that have recognized that in order for us to get what we need, we have to operate in a coordinated fashion. We have to put our egos to one side. It's males in it, because ultimately it's the males that are seen as the primary target, the primary threat. And ultimately, it's the Black males that have to take responsibility for addressing the shortcomings in our community. Many of the individuals involved historically didn't get on with each other. Didn't get on with each other. They had differing opinions, and they were misguided enough to believe that those differing opinions meant that they could not be allies and couldn't unify around specific issues that they share the same opinion on. That's changed, and that's because we've matured and we've learned from the past. There are at least 60 organizations and individuals in the network. It's been able to mobilize and leverage resources out of City Hall, but that's not our primary interest. Our primary interest is to go into our own communities and begin to bring our young people into a much more aware understanding of what ethical leadership looks like and what they need to do in order to affect their communities, affect change in their homes, and affect in themselves. That's a really important aspect of it. We've got more than 400 years of experience in this network. It's only been in existence for just over a year. It's growing, mobilizing, and becoming stronger all the time. There's been no conflict within this group yet, even though there have been very, very difficult conversations over some of the contracts that we've acquired. It also functions like a consortium. So we will bid for contracts, the relevant organizations with the relevant set skills will acquire those contracts, and then other parts of the organization will make sure that they deliver those contracts. And when they don't deliver, we will hold them to account. Critically important that we operate in that ethical way. Let's move on. Over the lockdown period, we know the hell that our young people have been catching, and particularly the women in the homes. We know that, I shudder to think how much violence has been perpetrated on our Black sisters and queens and the young Black men in the homes, and the intense dissonance that they're experiencing that will explode out into our streets when people are finally allowed to circulate freely again. We have quietly been going around and bringing some of these young people together in order to work through their stuff. Black men and men generally, very difficult to share, very difficult to talk. They've still got this Victorian belief that to share is to show weakness. So important that we, disavow them of that dysfunctional view. It's bottling all of that frustration, anger, and confusion at why they can't get ahead and why they're constantly being singled out in education, on the streets, in terms of employment and all the rest of it. Eventually, for too many of our young people, breaks them. In the acute psychiatric unit up there in Hackney, for example, 90% of the individuals in there are our beloved brothers and some sisters, even though they make up less than 40% of the population in that area. And that's not unusual. That's what we see elsewhere. So you can see myself and Jake there facilitating a session. And just one little story out of that particular session I want to share with you is one brother there who's working, so he's in his 20s, he's working with young people in the community, right? Because we're running leadership groups, remember? So these guys are already in a leadership position at a grassroots level. He's running and working with these young guys. And through the process of the session, it transpires that what had happened is when he was younger, he got into a situation, him and a friend, and he got a friend to come along with him. And as a consequence of him bringing along the friend died. And he's held himself responsible for that ever since, and not been able to rest, sleep, and function effectively. And in that session, all of that stuff came out. That man had never got any help, any support whatsoever, walking around in our community like a time bomb. There's so many men out there like that. And that's why we see this explosion of aggression. It's critically important that we get down into our communities and do the work and take responsibility for doing that as Black men with our young Black men. Just like Black Men for Change, we've set up the Open Mind Alliance. Let's get my grandchildren in the background. Jada, come and close the door. And set up the Open Minds Alliance because there is no support out there for our communities, no strategic support. It's back to what I was saying there before. You can find voluntary sector organizations and individuals eking out little bits of work at a grassroots level. When you go up into those higher echelons, we're nowhere to be seen. We're definitely not making any decisions as to where these resources go. And yet, private sector organizations, public sector organizations are attracting millions of pounds in the name of mental health in relation to our community. And on the back of this COVID lockdown, there's a big fight going on over the millions that will be allocated to Black mental health. Where does it go? Acute psychiatric support. Lock them, medicate them, control them. Very little goes to the prevention, well-being, the ginger, and so on and so forth that our community elders and wise ones understand that is critically important to our well-being as a community. No, we don't get any of that upstream stuff. The other thing about the Open Minds Alliance, it's a very similar model. We're building a network of individuals and organizations nationally. We're partnered with the Caribbean and African Health Network in Manchester, very similar model. We're in the process of establishing a digital platform so that when we want the information we need, we can come there and it's all in one place. And just touching on this idea of assets. Yes, brick and mortar is really important, but the platforms, the assets that are increasingly going to hold the weight going forwards are these digital platforms. And we need to control our own as we move forwards and not just be conceptualizing things in the physical world, because most of our children live in the digital world most of the time nowadays. That's to them normal. Just today alone, I've had 2 conversations with individuals, corporate companies who are giving away their building And so, well, you can use it, you can have it for 5 years, no real cost. Now, why are they giving me their building? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, for them, it's a liability because they can't function and use it, city, in the city and elsewhere, because of the way the situation is. So to offload it on us for 5 years or 8 years makes, smart sense. And I'm hearing people jumping up and down about the building and making exactly the same mistake again. All right. All that money that was made available, 750 million, 722 million and counting of emergency money put down into the voluntary sector, we got less than 2%, right? It's an African Caribbean heritage community got less than 2% of that money, even though at the very same time, everyone was talking about the extent to which this so-called virus is disproportionately impacting us, as though we haven't been catching hell health-wise for decades. The money has gone to us. So one of the things we've done as a network, there are 80 organizations and networks in this alliance. It's begun the process of pulling together our own money, give to the organizations that do the kind of work we want to see done in our community going forwards. Baobab. And some of you may know, the herbalists in this space may know about Baobab, the tree. You're 5 million years old and all of them amazing stories there. The resilience of that tree and its application, its diverse application use-wise, it symbolizes what this endowment fund is seeking to do. And we're also in the process of connecting up with similar networks in the States.
Oh, brothers and sisters, is he frozen? Is it me, or is our brother? he's frozen. Yeah, is it me? Please let me know.
He's frozen.
Oh, he has frozen.
Yeah,
okay, and he was absolutely just on fire going through it. I'm hoping he will realize he has frozen and he will come back again. Let's have a quick. Let's have a look. Continue. Oh, fantastic. Looks like he'll be coming back in. Just before, is there anything you wanted to add on what he's just stated there, brother? Lee?
No, I think that, look, we're global Africans. That's why we're so attracted by the title. But
yeah,
we have to think about our situation, whether it's economic opportunity, whether it's justice, or whether it's career development and business development. We have to raise our aspiration up beyond Britain to look to the global African diaspora as being the place where our interests lie. And so what he was talking about is how we can come together. But he was also reinforcing the point about ethical leadership. Too much Black leadership is unethical. Yes. It's not well thought through. It's driven by emotion rather than strategy. And I think that what you have to do if you're going to be an effective Black leader is become deeply ethical, deeply transparent, and you have to strategically unite. And so, it's the principle of Ubuntu. I can't be me if I can't see you. If I don't value working with other people, if I can't get myself connecting with other people, then it just simply won't work. So that's the principle that infuses the work that we do.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that, brother Lee. Yes, brother. Brother Karen, Lee was just absolutely backing up what you were stating and giving us an understanding of why it has to be a global African approach. Thank you very much, Lee. Yes, brother Viv, if you can carry on.
Sure. I'm not sure what happened there because my battery's charged. I think MI6 might be listening in. So, yeah. So again, and as Lee, thank you for that, Lee. So, and I'll move quickly on.
Oh gosh, don't tell me he's gone. Is he gone down again? Come here. Are you there, brother?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, fantastic. Sorry, you froze a moment there.
No, I went like this.
Don't do that to my heart, brother. Don't do that.
No, we're here, man. I'm good. right? So keeping with this whole focus on the man it's just really so important if we're to heal our community and build into sustainability going forwards. Now, my brother Courtney Brown and I came up with this idea of the super dad, and it cuts both ways. You know, a lot of men, you know, again become unwell and or give up and run away from the responsibility of the family because they think they're not good enough. They've got this idea of super dad in their head that they don't feel they'll ever meet. They don't have the money, employment, whatever it is. And as a result, they give up. And then you've got individuals who, no matter what they do, it's not good enough. At the end of the day, all the family wants is you there. They want you there, they want you smiling, they want you engaging, they want you tactile. Yeah? That's all they're looking for at the end of the day. They don't need you to be this, I don't know, Anthony Robbins or whatever it is, some superstar individual on social media or on TV and whatever it is. They want your love, they want your affection, and they want your attentiveness. So the whole super dad package movement model is geared towards supporting our fathers, different ages, different levels, to really understand, you know, how important it is for them to just be present and engaging in that way. And put on this particular events to begin bringing experts, other fathers and all the rest of it into the space to share their skills and their resources, and make those networks work for us as a community. Because you see, if we really just networked up, many of the problems would disappear overnight because we have all the assets and resources we require. We're aiming to do another one of these particular ones in March, because we know unemployment is going to be a major issue, finance is going to be a major problem, and we want to give people as much access to information about what the career pathways are going forward, cybersecurity, whatever it is, the key opportunities in terms of setting up their own businesses, maybe online, opportunities that are operating elsewhere on the planet that they wouldn't necessarily be aware of, because their mind's so focused down on the postcode, and they believe the hype that there are no opportunities and there are no jobs, when nothing could be further from the truth. There are jobs in the right sectors if you know where to look, and there's financial opportunity for you to entrepreneurialize if you know what you're looking for. I've never been employed in my life. I'm not saying that's something that everybody else should aspire to. What I'm saying is it is possible if you understand the principles of systemic thinking, that whole interconnected approach to doing business and working as a collective and as a network. I just want to end, because I was talking to Andrew, my hubby, and I said, well, I want to just come and give an update of the different things that we're involved in. I've put the info@blacksocks.com email address in groups for people to make connects if they want to learn more about what we're up to, the stuff that Lee's talking about in terms of the International Alliance and all the rest. So that's me, Viv Amun. Just touch on some of the commercial stuff. I have a company called Aspire Education Group. It's a business, it's a charity, it's not a not-for-profit, it's not a community interest company, it's a business. It's a 7-figure business, which is good for me. My background is in the commercial sector and in the public sector. I ran a recruitment company for 10 years. In my 20s, me and my 2 business partners, Claude Adibambo and Patrick Atifia, set up that business as young 20-somethings. And we did 1.5 to 1.8 million a year for 10 years in our 20s. You know, I'm 56 now, so you do the maths. And that's really important, because once you're in the habit of making income and generating assets and margin, it is just habit. Now, those of us who have got that habit need to share it much more effectively going forwards, because things are going to be really bad for our community. But Aspire Education Group is a strategic education provider, consultancy-wise, but it tithed Aspire Prep as its social purpose, one of its social purpose vehicles, because we realize that there are so many parents out there with very bright children. They're aspirational parents, but they can't get access to aspirational education, because the state education is so dysfunctional and anti our young people. So we run Aspire Prep for a number of years. Many of our young people have gone on to great things. We're in the process of repurposing it and relaunching it in partnership with a national consortium of education providers that we're in the process of putting together, along with a whole range of others, including Brother Andrew and Westside Academy. I'm really excited about that. We're also in the process of acquiring the partners necessary to build key schools on the continent, and these are strategic education hubs that will also feed into, you know, the entrenched poverty and inequality that we see on the African continent. Very important to me. It's a business, but it has a very, very important social purpose. On the African continent, we're in the final stages of securing a strategic hub. We're doing really important work for us in Uganda and Kenya, particularly, and the Gambia for the last 4 to 5 years, all around economic infrastructural development on the African continent, part of the African Union's and the Africa as a Continent's 2063 agenda. If you're not familiar with it, please look at it. If you email me, I'll send you it, Africa 2063 agenda. Please close the door, girls. Tech and finance are the two key areas that I'm interested in. Fintech, technology, 21st century tools and strategies for growth, for leveling up in relation to our community. Not enough of our young people are plugged in as entrepreneurs in regards to technology in the financial services sector, but they are plugged in as consumers in terms of Instagram, Clubhouse, spending hours and hours and hours on these platforms that were, you know, that are not owned by us, you know, perpetuating the problems that we've seen in the past. And this flyer refers to one of the events that we did where I personally seeded £8,000 into an initiative on the ground, intensively incubated a number of the top startups in Uganda at the time, seeded the winners of the program at the end. So it's like an incubator and accelerator program. Did that with one of my colleagues, Kafiro Aziz, multi-entrepreneur and celebrity in Uganda. Why am I showing you all of this? Because I want you to understand that for me, being an activist doesn't mean being broke. We have to be thinking in a very dynamic way about how we move things forward. And in an economic paradigm such as the one that we're in, you know, finances is critically important. New technology and being abreast of the new technologies, critically important, and understanding the financial services sector and how it functions and how we can make it work for us is critically important. You cannot do any business and you cannot innovate anything if you do not have access to economic resources. Just as simple as that, okay? Just running now, as I conclude down the left-hand side, there are some of the initiatives that I don't talk about, you won't see me talking about on social media. You know, we're getting on with doing this stuff. We're not really trying to publicize it. We don't need to. It's not end user orientated. Close the door. You got the ethical leadership package that we run. We've run in the private sector. We've run it we run it over here in the UK. I've rebranded it after George Floyd's birthday. So it's ethical leadership in 141073. You've got the African Association of International Banking and FinTech, which is an initiative that we set up. We were due to launch it September of last year in the UK. It's got all the top financiers on the African continent involved, one of the founders of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, a whole range of key players in the financial services sector linked into this thing. Our intention will be to launch it later on this year, but we have access to the intelligent resources and the expertise necessary to play our part in the development of Africa's infrastructural development, and as a consequence of that, the development of the African diaspora globally. Section 106 is a propaganda brand, and so its focus is on the marketing, the branding, and the optics that are critical, because we're living in an age where you know, it's all about the content and how it looks, how products are sold, and we've traditionally not been as on top of that as we've needed to be in order to be able to get our messages across more effectively and affect the change and achieve the mobilization within our communities that we need. So for us, that's a really big thing. Our communications, Section 106 is connected to all of the many of the major platforms on the African continent, especially the new generations coming through, and also some of the key ones that are being established in the UK. We make our own programs, we broadcast them on our own platforms, and if we broadcast them on other platforms, it's from a strong position, a negotiating position. And then the last one, I guess, is me. I live for change. I'm not frightened of change. I'm not frightened of dying. I used to be frightened of severe illness. I'm not even frightened of that anymore, and I'm not going to get into explaining why in this. I'm just saying that it's not something that preoccupies me. I am warrior class in the same way that my colleagues in this panel are, and many of you on this call are. And we really need to lean into this current crisis and begin to see it as an opportunity that we can fully exploit in the way that many others are already doing who are not from our community. I'm a change maker. I'm a futurist. And by that, I mean, I exercise my mind by thinking about where we can be, where we need to be in 500 years from now, 11 generations from now. I put myself, I meditate, I, travel astrally to that place and then work my way back to here in terms of what it is we need to do. So a little taster of where I'm at and what I'm up to gives you some indication of that. I'm a global African. That's not just, making connects globally. It means I see the whole planet as my home. One particular landmass, not this little, island plantation that we're locked up on, the whole planet. And that enables me to think like a 21st century African, because the digital age allows you to exercise that mindset. 4 or 5 days a week, I wake up and I'm in Uganda, virtually. I'm there talking to my business partners, planning, running stuff and doing all kinds of stuff. Australia, the same thing. So I'm a global African, I'm a futurist. I'm here for my community and I'm here for my family. And ultimately that starts with me being here for myself. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, brothers and sisters, I told you River Moon's on the platform. That's why I called today Global Africans, brothers and sisters. You're seeing what these brothers, the brother used the term astral traveling, beloved. He has to be traveling the atmosphere on different spiritual levels. River Moon, absolutely powerful. I think the ones in the chat room, when we put the ones in the chat, that means that you're God-like, brother. That's what the ones represent, man. And people are saying fantastic information. I saw one sister ask a question, do you have a directory or something that people can find out more information and connect with your global works?
Yeah, Black Socks is the central point for everything that I've made reference to. You can get access to all the different organizations. We're going to be putting out calls over the next few months. The international stuff that Lee's talking about, him and people will be leading on. There will be calls going out for that. Lee and I, depending on how things play out, are intending to be in New York for the beginning of the George Floyd related trial. We want to do our bit to ensure that those individuals, get locked away forever at the very least. And Black Socks is part of that strategic hub that's working with other organizations globally to make sure the right kind of information gets out once that trial begins. I think it's still on the 8th of March. And all of the madness that we saw last year is going to kick off again, all the triggering and so on, the march. And you can imagine it's going to coincide with people getting back out into the community. We're going to see all of this stuff, all the injustices, spewing out onto social media and all the rest of it. Those of us who are thinking ahead need to be prepared for where we're going to be in March, April, May, and June of this year. So like I said, Lee and I will be in New York, God willing. I'm due to be in Uganda preparing the grounds for 2022 when we were running a lot of strategic leadership programs virtually and physically in East Africa, you know, where a lot of the growth will be for Africa, the African continent will be driven from. And in your countries like Uganda and Rwanda, amongst the most successful countries on the African continent in terms of growth at the moment, and countries like Rwanda are very forward thinking in how they go about doing what needs to be done for their inhabitants. So we need to be an ONI in order to make that happen. Where we want to have physical space there, so our young people, we can shift them out there for as little as a couple of £100 or £300 and get them in that space. Because you see, once they're in that space and they understand really what it means to be an African, they come back here, it's a whole complete different animal. Yeah, it's like they've been set free from the matrix.
Fantastic.
So yeah, info@blacksocks.com.
All right, brother. Brothers and sisters, you've heard from brother Viva Moon, and I don't have to say anything, brother. Viv, if you wanna ask a question to Viv, please put your hand up. I see quite a few hands up already. Viv, we like to offer people just a few seconds, and we want to try and get through as many of them as possible, brother, before we end the show. So what I ask you, brother, is if you can answer or make statements based on 30 seconds, brother. Yeah, just so that we can move on. One question that was asked in one of the chat rooms, brother, is what are your views on returning back to the motherland, Africa? What's your views?
Oh, it comes back to the point I was making before. You've got 90 million Africans in Brazil alone. 90 million, right? When they did the census like 10 years ago, the figure was something like 40 million. What's happened is individuals have come into a realization of their African history and their African roots and heritage. I'm a global African. So when I'm here, I'm still in Africa. There was a point, and that's why I love the baobab as the tree. There was a point where the whole of the planet was one continent. It wasn't fragmented in the way that it is. And we have to unify our minds in that way. It makes strategic sense for me to operate out of this country at critical points. It's for me to be physically here, to have assets here, to have connections here, to have influence here. In the same way, it makes absolute strategic sense for me to have connections, assets, and all the rest of it on the African continent, Australia, wherever. The whole planet belongs to us.
Woo! 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 I hear you, my kid. Global Africa.
When you're on the African continent, what our brothers and sisters on the continent are saying is we need you out there in the diaspora working with us. You come over here and put up your foot.
Jeez.
We need you out there putting in the work.
Come on, Viv. Fire. It looks like you
I'm a global it's an interesting question. I'm a global African.
Come on.
I remember when Paul Labino and them, man, they were putting on those events in Manchester back in the day.
Come on.
And I remember then I was in my teens and one of those giants said, we are global Africans. It went in, it took roots, yeah? And I've never lost sight of it.
Viv, you're on fire.
You know, 56, this is my season.
Come on.
56 years ago, this is my season. I'm at my strongest physically, spiritually, and mentally.
Jeez.
I have to say to people, look, just be clear in it. Are you warrior class? You know, I'm not talking about necessarily physical warrior, but you got a warrior spirit.
Yes.
People know I've got a warrior spirit. They can feel the energy and the power because I'm operating, I'm in my deen.
Fire. Come on.
We're global Africans. I don't know what else to say, bro. We're global Africans, man.
All right then, my soldier. It looks like you've answered a lot of the questions because I think as you was talking, hands went down. Like it's like that you asked it. Sister Maxine, I'm gonna allow you to speak, Sister Maxine. If you can unmute yourself, I think Sister Maxine wanted to ask a question. Could is that Sister Maxine? I haven't got a surname. Or Sister Sharon. Sister Sharon, can you unmute yourself, please? Oh. Can you unmute yourself, Sister Sharon or Sister Maxine? I'm not sure wherever they can. All right, look, brother, it looks like as you're blowing up, man. Brother Kel, unmute yourself, King. I don't know if there's any. Yes, Brother Kel.
Hey, Viv, that was Viv-tastic. Yeah. that was Viv-tastic. Honestly speaking, you're speaking my language. I think you're speaking a lot of our languages when it comes to economics and the way how money works. It's something that's missing in our community, and it's something that I really do press on. What words would you leave with us so that we can sort this area out? Because we do need a lot of help in this area. I'd like to even be in touch with you and speak to you in person about this area. I'm looking to actually do my master's this year in politics of Africa, which obviously would have a lot to do with the politics and also economics. But what can we be doing here to ensure that our people can come together and, you know, put our money together? We say it all the time, but we're not doing it.
Yeah. Well, and then because, you know, sometimes we speak in binary terms and it makes sense, especially if we're on the podium and so on and so forth, to speak in generalization. But let me just make a few qualifications. There are lots and lots of people in our community doing great business. Great. I belong to 7 private membership groups, yeah, with individuals or a minimum of 7 figures. That's what they're on, standard. Yeah, or a minimum of 5 figures a month, standard, right? What the issue with our community, especially in the UK, is that those people who are making those kinds of movements do it in private, they're hidden, they're frightened. And we created Black Men for Change with these influencers on the flyer because we want to be out there and proud, and we want young people to be inspired to understand, no, we got Black men who are moving together, you know, in a coordinated and forward-thinking way. I deliberately laid out in that presentation and left other things off because I wanted you to understand that we're serious about education, right? Aspire is the strategic hub for all the other education things that we do globally with other education partners, from the, you know, historic colleges in Black colleges in the States, right to the top leadership universities on the African continent and everywhere else. Patricia Lamore, who I know has been on here, you know, as an advisor to the top, you know, institutions in the UK as well, because we need to make sure we've got access to all that information and intelligence to make it work for ourselves. Similarly with the financial services sector, we're in the financial institutions in the UK. I've been an advisor to the Financial Conduct Authority. And as I said before, we're connected to the key influencers on the African continent, and we're busy making movements. So if you want to be alive to all of it, make contact with us and we can plug you into the different networks. If you know, are looking at the mental health related side of things and you want to become a professional in that space, previously we're excluded because, you know, you needed the finance to be able to study for the period of time required to become a psychiatrist, clinical psychologist, and even once you become qualified, you'd have to be willing to work for free for a period of time. I'm on a board that's right up there within the NHS that's looking at how we change that, right within the NHS at the top levels, looking at how we change that over the next 15 to 20 years. So again, if you want access to the information and intelligence, connect with us so that we can begin to distribute that information to you for our things. And when the specific calls to action come, you get it in a timely fashion and you can react to it. Brother Andrew knows and others know, I very rarely talk in public because I've done all of that. I'm rather just get on with the work and let the people that are better able to communicate in public on an ongoing basis do that and let me be in service. So I've said everything I said. I've flagged up the things I flagged up deliberately. We're on the continent, connected up over there. If you want to be involved in what's going on in the continent at a strategic level, whether it's the governments or different movements on the ground over there, we've already got those links. So put your stuff in there, say you want to be in service. If you've got a young person who's at university or doesn't know where they want to go, we're running internship programs, we're running accelerator programs and incubator programs for the young people that want to set up their tech-based business. And there has to be a tech-based business. It has to have tech at its heart. No matter what it is, technology has got to be at the center of it. It's there. I mean, I'll put the information in there again, but like I said, we can be on here talking all night. But talk's not going to bring about the change. It requires the action. I've come up, I've given an update respectfully, just on my brother's program or his platform. It's not that what I've gone through, all the things that we've been talking about has not been shared anywhere at any point in time, just in our private networks.
You heard that, brothers and sisters. You heard it from the man himself. You heard it from the man himself. He's used this platform to share that. Calder Stapleton. Is it Calder or Calder Stapleton? Can you unmute your mic? I think you may have to be the last one. Time is obviously going. I've got a few hands more going up. It's Calder. Is it Calder Stapleton? I'm hoping that there is no technical issues, but if you'd like to say a few words, could you unmute your mic? Or Sharon Sims? Sharon Sims. Oh, yes.
Yes. Greetings.
Greetings, King.
Greetings, Kings. Yeah, give thanks for tonight's event as usual. But my question is in regards, the money and investment of the African people. We tend to spend our money elsewhere rather than in our own communities. So how would we go about doing that, keeping it in our communities? And also, have you heard of Guap coin? Because you're talking about getting into the digital age, and American sisters invented Guap coin for the Africans. So would you think that'd be a good investment?
Digital currency is volatile at the moment. I would advise the most stable currency at the moment is Bitcoin. It just is, because it's been around for longer. If you want to invest in the long term and you want to play the risks around all of that, then fine, do so. But please do understand it is a risk. What I would ask people to do is spend more time focusing on blockchain and the technology that underpins cryptocurrency. And the blockchain, which is a digital ledger, is a very, very effective way of doing global business, making deals that are 100% reliable, that enable, takes all the distrust out of the equation. Blockchain. So I'm saying, people hype up digital currency and then we all get excited. We've seen it, the recent rises in Bitcoin, people get excited. We've seen it with what's been going on with the video thing that people have been invested in. Can't remember what it's called now. We're just too gullible, We see a little bit of excitement over there and we run to it. Blockchain, which is where all the innovation is taking place. I go to events on blockchain. I don't see any black people there at all.
Game shop.
Blockchain will revolutionize our education. It revolutionize how we do business. Blockchain. Now, like I said, we're running programs going forward. Some of it has been delayed by the lockdown. If you want to know more about it and begin to orientate yourself at your leisure, make sure that you send your details through to info@blacksocks.com. You'll get put onto the newsletter. You'll get to find out about some of the key events we're doing, which is not going to be open to the general public, because we want people that are not there just to rubberneck. And like the brother said at the top of the program, go somewhere else and say, did you know? We're interested in people that are a warrior class. When they hear something, it makes sense to them, they act on it. Anything short of that's a waste of time. But invest in blockchain, invest for the long term. That's 10 to 20 years for you pick of them.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Viv. And I then wrapped it on surgical level, brother. Absolutely fantastic, brother. We bow to you, brother. It's your first time on air. Brothers and sisters, please show some love for Viv. Warrior, today was Global Africans. And this is the brother that I had to bring down to literally show us another way of activating and strategic planning, on another level. Brother Viv, thank you again, thank you again, thank you again. Seriously, brother, you murdered it. Body bags are laid around you, brother. Brother Pablo, we're wrapping up now. We just still got another 400 people on there. What's your last words to us, brother Pablo? What's your last? You got 1 minute. Just round up. What's your last words? I've seen so many people said I've signed and I've shared. But brother, what's your last words to us, brother Pablo? You're mute, brother. You're mute.
my last words relates to the unification of us as African people across all of these agendas for everything that we do. Never think as an individual, always think collectively. We have our campaigners out there, but we know that that campaign can only be effective if we join together with other forces. As was Viv has put out there today, an incredibly important profile as well as program. If you think about what Lee's done, and he's outlined all of these different things that we've been focusing on, you know, as individual casualties of war, right? All these different struggles will remain the same unless we pull together under one.
Come on, one voice. Brother Lee Jasper, before I go to Lee Jasper, Pablo, thank you. Please give us an update for next week, King.
We'll do. We'll
please.
Do.
But thank you, brother Pablo. It's your first time on our show, and we bow to you, King. Brother Lee Jasper, you've been on our show many a time, so please, what's your last words to us tonight, King?
Yeah, you know, my last words would be to people really to, you know, take control of that globe. It's there for the taking. You know, the future is just waiting for us to turn up. So let's get together, unify, and fulfill our destiny. And that is to be the masters of the universe, baby. So let's get on with it.
Fantastic, fantastic. Brothers and sisters, this has been Hidden Truth tonight. Before we go, we got a little surprise for you. Before we go, even this person doesn't even know about the surprise. But I know I always like to go through the list of who's there all over the world. And I would like Sister Wisdom. You've been on our show before. Lady Wisdom. I'm going to allow you to speak. Lady Wisdom. Are you there? Unmute yourself, Sister Lady Wisdom.
Yes, brother. Greetings.
Greetings, greetings, greetings.
Greetings, Viv, and all the gentlemen on the panel. Hello.
Fantastic, fantastic. Lady Wisdom, I know you didn't even know I was going to ask you to do this, sister. Can you please? In fact, 1 second, Lady Wisdom. Let's have a look. 1 second. Let's have a look. All right, that's a bit better. Lady Wisdom, this is about global Africa today. Today has been about global Africa. And it reminded me, as Viv was speaking, as Pablo was speaking, as Lee Jasper was speaking about your trademark spoken word. You used to do it in all the schools all over about global Africa and our history. Lady Wisdom, can you drop that freestyle for us today? Can we see you? Can we see you? We like to see you, sister. We want you to end off the show tonight by dropping, brothers and sisters, this sister is an absolute powerhouse. And one of the reasons why I wanted this sister to come on tonight is because next week we want Sister Space to join Pablo, because Pablo's doing that call that unity should come out. And I know, Lady Wisdom, you've done work with Sister Space. Are you still there, sister? Unmute yourself there. Oh gosh, is she gone? Oh God, don't tell me frighten her off. Lady Wisdom, are you still there? Oh gosh.
You're gonna have to back her up, bruv.
No, okay. I think, okay, we try one more time. It looks like we may have, as I said, it wasn't planned. And I think she's absolutely gone for the night. Oh, wow. I did put it on her. All right. Oh, what did he say? Let's have a look. Okay, I think they're trying to get back in again. So, brothers and sisters, as I said, we're here every single week. And, you know, with the power of our brothers here, you know we ain't going nowhere. We are not going anywhere. Please, I've seen the texts going on. You're sharing and you're signing the petition. That is definitely a marching order. I can see Brother Lee Jasper was absolutely busy in the chat room, making sure that he's answering your questions and putting on his post live for you. So you make sure you follow Lee Jasper up on that. And I know Viva Moon, he's talking about directing everyone to the Black Sox. Okay, beloved, that's where you better find out about the international and the national work that they're doing in Black Sox. And Brother Viva Moon, we thank you, because we know you got your grandchildren with yourself and you're running around and doing that, but you had time to share with us, pardon me, you had time to share with us your work. So brothers, it looks like Lady Wisdom looks like they can't get back on today. I wanted them to end off today with some spoken word, but no worries, brothers and sisters. We will keep going. We will keep plugging ourselves. So brothers and sisters, jeez, what a night. That's all I'm going to say, brothers and sisters. What a powerful night tonight. And don't forget, you're in with the Hidden Truth crowd. Make sure next week, yeah? Oh, sorry, even before we go back to next week, on Friday, we've got the movie breakdown of Kung Fu Panda that deals with motivation, inspiration, and aspiration. Viva Moon touched on a lot of this. And who am I? There's a lot of hidden symbolic language in a lot of these movies. On Saturday, Hidden Truth will be working with Hidden Science Academy, and we'll be doing the secret science of sickle cell. The secret science of sickle cell. We've got Warrior Queen on the platform right now as I'm speaking. She's going to be one of the main speakers on Saturday. We done an event last Saturday. We had over 600 people with us. I want to see where we can break this number for this coming Saturday. Sunday, we've got the Blade Part 2. Brothers and sisters, my daughter China, can you please put the link down in the chat room for Blade 2? We're going to be going back into Blade. So don't worry, brothers. We're going to be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Make sure you roll with the Hidden Truth crowd, okay, brothers and sisters? We are there for you. And next week, remember, next week's our political week. I wanted Viva Moon, the strategic thinker, this week. And next week, we're going to take it to the political stratosphere. And we'll be having live with us the founding member, Charles Gordon, the property tycoon, who set up the one of our great, hopefully one of our great political parties. And next week, he's going to be speaking live on the platform. And I would like to say live on there, if Lee Jasper is spare on that day, please join us, Brother Lee, because I know you're one of our political giants too, King. But as I said, this is going to be a powerful, powerful, powerful day. So brothers and sisters, please walk in faith, walk in spirit. I want to give a shout out to Sister Jackie. We call her Sister Levi. We know that sister wasn't well for the last few days, and now she's back. She's on the platform. Big you up, our sister. And to all the brothers and sisters from all over the world, you stay strong, you stay global, and you stay committed. My name is Andrew Mohammed. They call me the Investigator, and I greet you in the greeting words of peace. We say it in the language of paradise, Arabic, of Assalamu alaikum. You stay strong. Black love for black people and all people from around the world. You are the best, you are the first, and you are creative.
All right, play the rhythm. This is my lyrics, I'm going for your lyrics. Stang dang digga digga dang dang dang. Brrrr dang dang digga digga dang 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 dang. Dang digga digga dang 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 dang. That one your name, hey! Some boy coffin them call it son boy coffin digga ding ding. Some boy coffin them call it son boy coffin digga ding ding. Some boy coffin them call it son boy coffin digga ding ding. Some boy coffin. Yeah. Father beat me at me said the father beat me at father beat me at the father beat me at father beat me at the father beat me at father beat me at. Can't sing my part. A son boy side King Jammys and rush him. The song in a tubes short color and a chuck him. Tubes get mad and hold a dope place and chop him. Everybody come on and the whole place chopping. The dance say, kiss me, call me dumpling. King Jammys, they have to kill something. Kill them, they are the hanging tree hanging. And Batman, they are no me no dog. Jammys tell them. Push your mouth, boy, try, you know, say nothing. Man, I no keyboard, no boy can't push me button. A double-edged sword, me cut you up like curry mutton. Turn up in front, me make me show you something. Jammys go so. Push your mouth, boy, try, you know, say nothing. Man, I no keyboard, no boy can't press me button. A double-edged sword, me cut you up like curry mutton. Turn up in front. What are they? Well, man, I preach and me can't done. Word of God like bullets from a gun in your eardrum. Like David killed Goliath, me chant the Psalms and you can't run. Psalm 37. Me read like Jericho while you pop down. Try if you disrespect the servant of the Lord, I son of your bun down. Play it, take it like Egyptian and like Pharaoh, you are drop down. Don't stick to your gum, you can't no more, you sound jet, you Jammys a kill bad sound, bad man a play. Jammys kill sound every night or day. A beanie man a stitchy and a we a DJ. When you listen what me hear, what me say. Well, and if a sound want test, I tell that to try. Nothing beat a try like a fail, me boy. This King Jam is a make me fans cry. Anyway, the whip to come from, apply them on. If you don't want sound for the door, you wouldn't say it. I'm gonna put a lily marrow fly like. Somebody you go dead, so mark me word.
King Jam is from the top, same rhythm lion. Rastafari, this is how we do it in the 80s and the 70s. Beenie Man, Moses Davis. Selassie, I know, and I see Johnny Osborne at the back of the scene. With Rubik on the door, and we look call the phone. Suppose you want to pick it up, is your business. Oh yeah, it is you. King Jam is talking to Lord, that was the new